Hi guys, and welcome to TechFurb. Today I have a haul of computers. I did go dumpster diving. Now, don't you go dumpster diving without permission. I had permission, that is why I went dumpster diving. So, all a bunch of computers that were getting disposed of. Company didn't want them anymore, so they were going to get thrown out and recycled. But I said, hey, I might have a purpose for those, so is it okay if I take them home? They said, yeah, sure, not a problem. So, that is why we have a bunch of computers here, and we're going to go through them today. Alright, so you heard me right, I went dumpster diving. Now, why would I make a video about this? Well, I didn't literally jump in a dumpster and get them. What actually happened was the business was getting rid of these machines. They were just getting thrown out. They weren't being sent to an e-cycler or anything like that. They were just going to a recycling company that just wanted them for scrap metal, basically, for the gold and copper and that sort of stuff. And I asked them, I said, hey, look, I run a YouTube channel and I'm always needing parts. I'm always needing things to do to run my tech channel. I mean, I always need things coming in to review for you guys or do a build on or things like that. So I said to them, hey, do you mind if I take this stuff home? You're going to get rid of it? Is it not an issue? And they didn't mind. And they're quite happy for me to take it off their hands. It meant they didn't have to deal with it. So yeah, 2 thumbs up. That worked out quite well for me. And for you guys at home, you know, you're watching this and perhaps you want to do a similar thing, like you're wanting to do a budget build or you're a bit strapped for cash. This is a good way to get it, and generally what you do is you'll get a clump of these systems. You'll find that probably a good haul would be 50% of them working if you're lucky, maybe less, but generally what happens is you'll pull bits and pieces and just kind of Frankenstein PCs together. They end up working quite well. Now what I want to do in this video is I'm going to strip these down for parts, work out what's working, work out what's not, and I want to actually show you guys the process of how I do that. So if you want to get into it, then you know how to do this. So without further ado, let's start going through these systems. Okay, so first up, it is a bit of a, well, it's a mid tower. I don't have any power supplies or anything in it, so let's just kind of open up the side of the case. So 1, 2, which on this panel it actually has like a nice little side window for the CPU, so this would be a good little case if I wanted to sell this system to someone. Standard ATX case, power supply mounts at the bottom. It's got space for a 120mm fan down the bottom there. Actually has a random laptop battery in it. Okay. Now I can kind of see why this guy's been thrown in the bin. It appears to be missing a foot off the bottom of the case, just down there, as you can see. But to me that's not an issue. We can sort that out. We can either take the feet off it or just add one down the bottom there. It's not an issue. We've got a, looks like a 120mm fan LED, DVD drive, but it's a tidy little case, so I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I can picture a build going in that at some point. So we'll just set that aside for a build video, or potentially I'll put some of these parts in this case and on sell them to someone who needs a system. And yeah, that's this one. Okay, next up we have a couple of motherboards and a PCIe USB 3.0 card. So they're actually pretty handy, so that's a nice little feature to get. Let's just have a look at the motherboards here. So first one here, we've got a B75M. That's a micro ATX. This is a 3rd gen motherboard. It's capable of handling either a 2nd generation or 3rd generation Core i-series processor. So that's your 2400, which I've done a review on recently, and your 3770s and that sort of stuff. So that's what goes in this motherboard. I wouldn't be putting a K-SKU processor in it because it's too under-spec'd, but you know what, this might be good, and we'll see what the CPU sitting in there is, because I have a feeling it potentially hasn't been removed. Oh, there is a CPU. What do we got? Oh wow, we haven't really lucked out on that processor. It is a Pentium G2020, so 2.9 gigahertz. I feel like in a past life I've actually had that CPU. I'm fairly sure I've had that CPU at some point, so that'll be interesting. I'll do a review on that, I guess. I've got a motherboard that can handle that CPU. I don't know if this board itself works, but the capacitors look okay. There's no damage physically on the motherboard that I can see. CPU fan. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a basic board. So, yeah, that's this guy. So what do we got here? So this one's a H61M. Now I have another one of these on hand that I can use. It's sitting over there on the shelf. CPU in this guy is a i3-2100, so that's a nice addition. I wanted to do some testing on those, but I really couldn't justify spending money on one of those CPUs because they're pretty low end. But I wouldn't mind doing a bit of testing on that to see how it can handle gaming, if it's any good for a modern gaming system. CMOS battery, yeah, cool. Alright, so 2 main boards. We've got a motherboard box to put them back in. I don't have any anti-static bags, but these parts are untested at this point, so they may not even work. But we'll find that out. So let's just pop it all back in there and close up that lid. Okay, so this one has a bit more weight to it. Now this looks like a complete system, so let's just pull the side panel off this guy. Oh boy, all goody. You guys have a look in there. This one's a complete system, so it even has a memory card reader in the front of the case. They're surprisingly handy for my purposes, being a YouTube guy, I guess. So we've got 450 watt generic AF power supply. So let's just check what the RAM is. Oh, we've got lucky. It's a 4 gig module. Okay, 4 gig DDR3 module. I'll take that. 2 4 gig DDR3 sticks. Unbelievable. That stuff is so hard to come by. So let's get this GPU out. I think this is a NVIDIA 220 1 gig card. Okay. Alright, I'll roll with it. Cool. Alright, GPU is a GPU. It's got HDMI out, so that is always handy. Just having a graphics card that's PCIe powered only. Let's check the CPU. I haven't had a chance. It's got no cooler on it. But yeah, it's an i3-2120, so we've got another one of those. Okay. So let's move on to the next system. Next system. So, oh, this one's got an i5 badge on it. Okay. This is exciting. Let's get the side panel off this baby. What the heck? This is insane. You guys got to see this. This power supply is, it's generic, so I don't know how much I trust it, but it's got dual 8-pin connectors, so this guy can do crossfire, I guess. I wouldn't trust it to, but apparently it can. Cables support it. So what else is in here? We've got a DVD drive. No hard drive. That's fantastic. That's what we want to see. Mainboard is 3rd gen. Okay, so 7 series, 75M. But we have dual PCIe. One looks like an X4 and an X16. But we have 4 DIMM slots, so we can put up to 16 or 32 gigs of RAM in there. That'll be a reasonably high amount of RAM. But I want to know what CPU we have sitting in here, because it looks just fantastic. So it is an i5. It's an i5-3470. Now I've done a little bit of testing with that CPU. From what I've seen, it's actually pretty good. So I'm pretty hopeful of that. So let's put those screws back in it, set it aside, and see what secrets we unravel with the next one. Okay, next system is a OEM AF Optiplex 990. So let's pull the side panel off. Good news, we have RAM. So I'm getting 2 gig modules so far. I think we have 4 2 gig modules. The good news is they're all matching pairs of Samsung DDR3 RAM, so that's good news. The next thing we're going to want to do is get that CPU cooler off there and get the CPU out of it. Alright, so we've got an i5-2400. So I have a second one now. I've already got one of those, but alright, I'll roll with that. So So you'll find with a lot of systems, people will throw them out when they stop working, but I've found the probably two most common causes of a system to fail is either a failed RAM, so RAM sticks quite often fail, and hard drives as well, dodgy hard drives. So either one of those two can cause a person throughout the system. If you replace any one of those components, you've immediately got a working system. I've done this so many times. Someone's given me a system, they're going, oh, it's not working anymore, and I don't want it anymore, and I'm like, oh, do you want me to fix it? And they're like, no, you just have it, I'm going to go buy a new one. I'm like, okay, sure. Sure enough, I get it up, doesn't boot properly, and I'm like, let me just change the RAM sticks and that. Sure enough, swap it out with a good set that I know that works, and the system's fine, and it runs fine for the next 3 years. So that's for you guys when you're doing this sort of stuff, you're going through with older systems. Number one thing to check first is RAM. Have a good, reliable stick of RAM lying around to test with. So that's my solid advice on that. Alright, so this one is our last non-OEM AF PC. Struggling a little bit of luck with this one. This motherboard has 4 DIMM slots again, but I am looking for a model number and I cannot find it. Okay, so power supply, 6-pin PCIe, 400 watt, okay, low spec. I'm interested in that CPU. There's no RAM in the system, but let's see what's going on with that CPU. So again, trusty flathead. Let's get that stock Intel heatsink off. One thing I was really hoping for was to luck out and find just an old i7 in this haul. This is an i7 2600, so I now have a first gen and a second gen, a second and a third gen i7 CPU that I can use for testing. So even if we only get one or working mainboard out of this like test, we've lucked out. So that's system number 5, fifth system. Alright, so system number 6, it's an Optiplex 390 this time, so again it's second gen. This time it looks like it has a GPU in it, so holy dooly, this is filthy. My goodness, this system needs a clean. I wonder if this system works. Probably doesn't with all the dust. Oh, you guys need to see this system, this is just filthy. Look at the insides of that, it's just horrible. 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 It's just filthy. I'm going to sneeze all night because of this freaking thing. It's 1 terabyte hard drive. It's a Seagate, but it is a 1 terabyte hard drive, so it's not too bad. We've lucked out a little bit with that one. Okay, so it's got 4 gig DIMM of DDR3 RAM, so I hope that works. That would be flippin' awesome if it does. Strikes again, it's another i5 2400. Okay. These were super common in their day, so not surprised by that at all. Okay, so last system here. Now, this one I'm very interested in. When I saw this, I flipped just about, so there must be something wrong with this system. It's a Optiplex 3020. Now, for those of you who are not very well versed in the Dell branding, the 3020 is a Haswell based system. So this is going to be a 4th generation CPU, and it's got an i5 sticker, so this thing works. I've just bagged a Haswell based system for free. That is insane. But they've even stripped the RAM off this. Okay, so I'm starting to think there is an issue with this system. Let's check the CPU. CPU is an i5 4570. So there you go. 4th gen i5 I pulled from the dumpster. Even if the motherboard turns out to be a dud, I've just bagged a 4th gen Haswell i5. Heck yeah. I know if I can't use it right now, it will get used. So that pretty much ends the systems. I also did get a server, but I checked that over and it doesn't have any RAM or hard drives in it, and it's quite heavy and bulky. I'm not going to do that one on camera this time. I'll do its own little dedicated video potentially. But I'm super curious at this point. I want to get this system going to see if it actually even boots. Well, let's get a screen plugged in. Alright guys, so moment of truth, I've got the Haswell system sitting here. I've used some of the RAM that we got out of the dumpster, so this could actually go quite terrible. I haven't powered on, so I don't know if it works yet. But a couple of things I want to show you guys. So we want to do a proof of concept to make sure the device can actually boot. Now, I don't want to go through the process of setting up Windows on a hard drive just for the purposes of validating hardware. So one thing that I should teach you guys is these USB sticks. If you put Linux, in this case I'm using Linux Mint, you put a Linux distro on one of these, plug it in the back of the computer and boot from the USB, it will actually boot into a full operating system that runs from the USB disk. So that is a fantastic way to validate hardware to make sure it's working. It's certainly not a perfect test. I mean, if I was going to sell the system or use the system, Windows would be getting put on there and it would be getting stress tested. But when you're just trying to weed out the systems that just have blatantly obvious issues that you can't fix, this is the first port of call. So the other thing I've done is I've cleaned off the thermal paste off the CPU and just put a new application on there. Now, I told you guys I would show you the thermal paste I use for the kind of older junker builds, and it is this stuff here. So not a sponsored product or anything. You can see it on camera just there, the HY510. You can get this stuff for about $6 or $7 off eBay for a tube. So that's the thermal grease. We've got some of the, like I said before, we've got some of the RAM that I pulled from the other system. So we're going to see if it powers on. No problems. So it's opening apps, so I'll consider that a pass. It's running pretty quick too, which is nice to see. So yeah, I would say the Haswell system's a pass. So we've got a working Haswell system. I'm totally stoked about that. Can't wait to get Windows on that guy and actually do some proper stress testing on it to validate it. But we'll leave that at that. Leave it at this for now. Let's get the RAM out of this guy and we'll move on to the next system. Alright, so next system up is the Optiplex 390. Now this is the one that was really dirty. I'm still using all the existing parts. It actually has a hard drive in it, so I won't need the boot USB. I haven't changed the RAM or anything, so I don't even know if this system's going to post. But we will find out. Alright, so we've got no display out, so that could mean we've got a dead graphics card or dodgy RAM. So we're going to go through the list. First we're going to take out the graphics card and we're going to see if we can get it to post with the integrated graphics. Okay, so I've actually got this GPU out. It's a 6450, so I'm not really losing anything if it doesn't work. It's pretty dusty and pretty old. It's actually a silent GPU, so it's got that going for it. But let's just see if it posts without that guy. Alright, so we've immediately got a display out, so there's a good chance that that graphics card has died. But let's see if it can boot into the hard drive. Okay, so it's gotten to the initial login screen. It's running very slow. I'm going to say that this hard drive's on its way out. I think it needs a lot of love to get it going, but we'll get it going. Alright, so next up is one of the, well, this is one of the non-OEM systems, so this has actually got a custom mainboard in it. This is the one that had the custom Intel board. So I'm going to drop this RAM that I know that's working in there, and I'm going to see if I can get the board to boot. Looks like everything but a hard drive is connected, so we might go with the USB method as we had before. And let's see if we can get it into Linux. Alright, so moment of truth, we've got the RAM in, let's see if it boots. Alright, fantastic. So we've got a post screen. And okay, so it's detected that we've changed the memory, that's fine. That means the CMOS battery is working, so that's a boon, because it means we don't have to worry about that. And it looks like it's going straight into the USB disk, so we're off to a great start here. Let's just skip that and start Linux Mint. So far, we're on a win with these systems. We're really having a lot of luck. We haven't had a system that hasn't posted yet, so yeah, I'm quite interested about that. I mean, one didn't post, but that was because it had a dead graphics card. So again, businesses, they generally don't troubleshoot. They just have an issue with it and it's out the door, it's in the bin, they just buy a new one and move on. If someone wants to pick up the system, that's great for them, but the business doesn't care. They generally don't want any money for it. They just want to get rid of the problem and get a new one in, because it's more cost effective to do that than to try and waste an employee's time trying to fix one and get it back to them. So there's that. Alright, so it looks like we can open the app. So it's doing the basic stuff, so that's good. This is a pass for me. So yeah, we're going to take that win and roll with it. So let's move on to the next system. Alright, so next system up, we've got an Optiplex 990 this time. I've put the two good Samsung sticks in it that have been working quite well. And again, no hard drive in this system. The rest of these systems are not going to have a hard drive in them. So we're gonna see if we can boot into live CD, well, live USB, and go from there. Alright, so it's good sign. So it looks like it's launching its apps. So yeah, that's worked out fantastic. So let's move on to the next system. Alright, so we've got the next system up. This one is one I was slightly interested again. It's got the 4 DIMM slots, so I'm really hoping that this board works. So let's get this one fired up. Alright, so we're into Windows, and again, able to launch those applications. So, sorry I said Windows, we're into Linux. Apologies. Yeah, so boots into the Linux USB, no problem. So, this system's fine. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so last system, this one actually has its own RAM in it, so I haven't put the Samsung RAM in because it gives me a chance to validate the RAM to make sure it's actually working. So let's get this guy powered on and see if it works. So it seems like this one's not posting. I'm a little worried about that power supply. There's a weird noise coming from it, so let's try and get this guy going. If not, we'll have to give it a bust, but we'll see how we go. Alright, so we're still not getting a post. The next thing I can try is actually putting a power supply in there that I know that works. I have the modular power supply over there that I might try, so I'll just try and put that in now. Alright, so I've got the other power supply plugged in now. So I'm going to see the system posts, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we didn't have any luck with that system, so I guess out of the bunch that's turned out not too bad. I've got a couple of main boards over there that I want to test, but I don't think I've got enough time left in this video. So that's pretty much all this was. It was just a quick kind of rundown of how I go through systems when I scrap them. I'll actually go through and test these and validate these probably more individually, but that takes a lot of time to do, and I really think that this video is probably getting a bit long at this point. So I'm going to wrap this up now, and so thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you disliked it. Comments down below if you've got anything to add. I might probably make a part 2 follow-up to this to let you guys know what happened with the systems. But this was just kind of a behind the scenes of what I do when I get a big haul of computers. I haven't done it for a long time. But yeah, this is the process. I go through, I find out what's working, find out what's not, and once I find out what is definitely working still, I'll actually run it through some tests and validate it, but we'll do that in the next part. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next video.